That's new. I see. Okay. So, have you heard of the concept business of the self?
No, I have not.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of the concept of a company?
Yes.
Okay. What is a company?
Company
What is a business? A company?
Oh, a company like an LLC or yeah. A group of people who want to have an objective done for profit usually.
And in order to do that, you need to have a product or a service.
Right.
So the purpose of a company is the product or the service that they're trying to sell.
Right.
Business of the self is the idea of when you look in the mirror, you have to stop looking at yourself as an individual only, but you have to start looking at yourself as a business unit. What do you want?
What's up? Doing great. How about you?
Fantastic. I was wondering, first off, I hope you're enjoying everything. I'm really hungry.
Okay, so business of the self is a concept invented by us, Tuber Slang Group, and the idea is that when you look in the mirror, you have to stop looking at yourself as an individual only. Of course, you're an individual, but that's not all you should look at yourself as.
All you can provide or all you can do.
Yeah, you should look at yourself as a business unit whose product is your life. And if you want to run your business of the self professionally, you cannot do it with only a single mind. So basically, this is Tuber Slang teaching. You should, we don't tell you how to run your life. But if you want to run your life, you have to look at yourself as a business unit. And the name of that business unit is business of the self. And the product that you're selling is your life. That's the idea. And if you want to run that business professionally, then you should not run it using a single mind, because running your country by a single mind is like Syria or some other North Korea. If you run your nation single-mindedly without checks and balances, then
it goes awry, in a sense.
Exactly. And your business of the self is the same way. And the reason why you did not think to ask for chances to review your performances through watching videos that you know that have been produced, that's because you have 1,000 things on your mind already as an individual. So you're not able to run your business of the self professionally because you have a single mind. So there are two portions of this, of what I'm telling you. On the one hand, the concept of business of the self. On the other hand, how to run it. So before I talk about how to run it, do you have any questions about the concept?
I kind of understand, like I can comprehend it enough where I can understand a little bit. My biggest thing is, I guess this goes into what you were gonna say after, and that's how to run the business of self. How is there an interchangeable way where one can be an individual and a business of self, or is it very black and white? Like, if I'm an individual, I won't be able to reach business of self, but if I have business of self,
Business of the self.
if
You,
I have
you have to say the phrase with 4 distinct words,
business
or
of
you
the
have
self.
a different
Okay.
meaning.
Okay. So
That's a very good question.
yeah, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes. Ask your question again, please.
So how could I differentiate being an individual from being business of the self?
Do you have a father or a mother?
Mhm.
Which one do you have?
I have both.
Which one do you interact with the most?
My father.
Okay. So, does your father wear the fathering hat the whole time from sunrise to sunset?
No.
No, he doesn't.
Mm.
He wears the father hat when he deals
He's
with you.
father, right?
But when he deals with your mother, he wears a husband hat.
Mm. Yeah, okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Now I'm curious on how to reach that level.
Okay. What level?
The business of the self.
Ask your question in full, please.
Yes, I will. How can I reach, or how could I provide myself with business of the self?
You don't provide yourself with business of the self, but you can create it
Okay.
and you can run it. And those are 2 different questions. And the reason why it's hard for you to grasp all of this quickly today, because I'm not going to teach you this lesson today.
Mm-hmm.
On the one hand, on the other hand, it takes many sessions to get this. And Jason went through this kind of thing with me, and we produced 21 videos in a series. Remember Thomas
Yes.
Lang
Thomas
101?
Lang 101. He was
Ifani.
an MMA fighter, Avani. Thank you.
Yeah. Thomas Lang 101 is with Ifani. 6 videos, 3 hours long.
And then 102 is Jerison, right?
Yes, 21 videos. And that's why we had time to teach him all of this. So, the basic idea is that is stated by a Nobel Prize winner 250 years ago already. His name is George Bernard Shaw. And he said that, and many people agree with him, that life is not about finding yourself. That's why in Thomas Lang 101 series, I told Ifani that stop learning. Stop discovering yourself. Because George Bernard Shaw said, life is not about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. And until you run your business of the self, you're not creating shit.
Okay. That's a really cool way of thinking. So that's what the business of the self that's the concept, that's the idea, is based around that ideology.
Yes.
Creating yourself.
Basically, if you don't run a business, you're not going to talk about money. And if you don't talk about money, you only create entertainment, not products, not services.
Right.
You want it to make a difference to your community, or you want to make a difference to your family, or your friends, or your loved ones. It's all talk.
Until it's done.
But if you want to walk, you have to talk about, sorry, but money. Money sounds bad, but it represents your labor. And if you don't receive if you don't have an income from your performance, then you're not truly appreciated. And if you're not truly appreciated, then you're not running your business after self.
Wow.
Elaborate your wow.
Uh,
So viewers can understand what's going on in your mind as you hear this.
My wow is everyone my whole life, or from what I see, everyone that I know is trying to find themselves, is trying to constantly look for things that match their personality. What we're doing currently right now with Haven, with Tumo Slang, with all these projects, we're starting completely from the root, from the ground up. So the wow comes from understanding the motion you're trying to put me through and all these other people you're putting through in creating yourself, and not finding something that just seems like it would be good for me. For instance, like a real example is meeting up at Haven every week, every Tuesday, keeping a schedule with each other, creating plans to make profit, to make money, to make an income. These are all things like we're setting in motion because we're so dedicated enough to actually go through with it. Like, we know that we can accomplish these goals. Could you give me an example from your life, trying to find yourself and then creating yourself?
Yes. I had a dream, but my dream was to experience life in Europe, because in first grade I played a board game with many countries on the board, and most of them were are in Europe. So since first grade on, I had a dream of experiencing life in Europe, but I did not know how to realize that. So it was more like a fantasy, and didn't do much about that. But when I met two German tourists in Florida, and they invited me to Germany, that's when I decided that I'm going to I cannot think about work and life in America. I just have to just drop everything and go. And so until you take an action to create the history you want to create for your life, you're not creating yourself.
Okay.
Creating yourself doesn't mean making you look this way or that way, or making sure that you it's not about how you look or how you feel or whatever. It's about your history.
What you do.
No, your history.
Well, isn't what you do kind of run into your history? Like, I go to the ice cream store 5 minutes ago. I went there and I did that.
I'm sorry, but that's not the history that will be told.
Well, no, I'm giving a very small example. Okay, so
but that's my point, because people think that that's history, literally. That's where they fail.
Oh, okay.
They believe that whatever they did was history.
You're trying to differentiate the word past and history.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I understand why.
Yes. So if you don't have a story told by other people about your life, then you don't have a history.
Mm.
You may remember yourself, remember,
But that's individual.
but that's not a history you created.
Okay. Wow. Another one. It's another one.
Okay, next. Because we accidentally fell into this conversation, so I'm going to let you ask until you finish asking question. We should not stop because you're on the road of asking question, because it's important that you finish asking your question before we go on.
Okay. Did you do any research for this, like prior hand, or is this something? Well, actually, you know what? No, and that kind of just answered my own question. The whole point of your belief system, of the belief system that we're creating, is that I'm guessing that it came from your thought. It wasn't something that you had to look to anybody directly and take information from. Like I would imagine that this is something that you came up with.
Impossible.
No,
because in the 21st century, from here on out, anything that affects humanity, anything that is a global solution, you can always assume that it's impossible for a single mind to discover. Anything that can be discovered by a single mind has been done already.
Okay.
That's why the concept of business of self is so important, because people have to understand that if you are operating your life with a single mind, you're going to have a hard time competing against a billions other individuals around the globe.
So you came up with this idea surrounded by other people, in a sense.
I worked with a student from University of Rhode Island for 2 years to come up with this. And we published a book for the work before he graduated.
You told me about this. You told me about your first conversation with him on the bridge, right? Yes. That was an interesting conversation.
Yes.
I just like, it's almost unfathomable to a like, this would be completely like crazy to think on my own, or if I were given this information on a whim, I wouldn't know what to do with it. And it's like, I feel like every person carried along in life knows this deep within themselves, that they do need business of the self, and they do need tumo slang, and they do need respect for themselves and for other people, their surroundings. However, my biggest question is how to keep yourself disciplined in that mind state.
That's why you need to have a second mind in your business of the self. And you've just witnessed the second mind in Jason's business of the self. Because when he does something that is not good for his future, I pointed out to him right away.
Purely objectively.
Thank you. That's how America became the most powerful nation on earth, because it has the best checks and balances system. Do you want to run your business of yourself like America or like North Korea? You have to decide. And that decision is realized by how you express your personal philosophy.
I can take it any direction I want to, but I have to
do it with deliberation.
Yeah.
Or not. and most people do it without deliberation, and that's why their expression is not of the business of the self, rather imitation of others.
Which, like we said before, influence gets so cloudy. I'm either Bruce Lee or I'm my own person, but I can still be influenced by those people.
Yes.
And no, I don't think anyone wants to necessarily be someone they're not unless you're currently don't like the person you are. So what can we do for the people who don't understand who they are? These videos are going to be providing like a sort of an insight, but what's a direct message we could use to people who are trying to discover themselves, just starting out trying to discover themselves? How can we be like, no, go that direction, create yourself?
That is an incredible question, and the answer is the video that Norm is trying to get you and others to make. Basically, we want to create a viral video, if possible, to promote this message. And the message is simply this: whenever somebody asks you the question, what's your New Year's resolution? The answer should be too much slang. And that works for every person on earth.
Because they can make it their own while still keeping the same nomenclature.
Yes.
It's like Tumo slang is just a set of tools.
It's only a nomenclature. Do you know the difference between language and nomenclature? What's the difference?
Language is obviously like verbal expression, like how there's also body language. You know, if I'm angry, I get real uptight. Nomenclature is sort of describing that verbal. What's the word I'm trying to say? Can I give an example?
Yes.
So, the language of a car is to back up, straighten out, go forward, turn left, turn right.
Yes.
The nomenclature of a car would be the hood of a car, the back of a car, the tires. It's more of
both examples are the same for language. But when you say hood of the car, you may understand that, but people in England may not. So language is for shared understanding, but nomenclature is for shared interpretation.
Okay.
If you want me to understand you, you use English. But if you don't want me to have a different interpretation of what you have to say, you use Tumu slang.
Okay.
Because with nomenclature, I cannot interpret any way I want. For example, the nomenclature of music. When you say A or B, this note or that note, can you interpret it to mean any other way?
Right. You can't, because it's one set note, it's one set pitch.
Right. So when you use nomenclature in relationships, you make sure that people cannot interpret it any way they want. And the reason why we, before Tumo slang, we don't have a solution to this problem.
Do you think Tumo slang could bring bowing back? Like bowing?
I don't know.
Because that's a great way of showing, like, there's no other way to interpret that other than respect, like, solemnly, like, empathy. You know what I mean? So, now you got my brain thinking. Like, Tumo slang could definitely have its own set of body language for sure. That's awesome.
That is a great idea.
That is a great idea.